All right, let's talk about one of Shirley Jackson's most fantastic and honestly unsettling short stories, Trial by Combat. This is a story that proves the most brutal battles aren't fought with swords and shields, but with quiet whispers, forced politeness, and just pure psychological warfare.
So first things first, let's look at that title, A Trial by Combat. It was this old-school medieval duel, sometimes to the death. The whole idea was that God would let the good guy win. It's big, it's violent, it's dramatic. Now you gotta keep that grand, brutal image in your head, because Shirley Jackson is about to flip it completely upside down.
And that's where the genius of this story really clicks into place. Jackson takes this epic life-or-death concept and shrinks it down to the four walls of a dingy, furnished room. The grand duel for honor and justice? Nope. Here it's a silent war of nerves between two women, fought over stuff you could literally buy at a dime store.
So how does a war like this even begin? Well, it doesn't start with a big declaration. It starts with the quiet, nagging disappearance of things that, on the surface, are basically worthless.
So, let's meet our fighters. On one side, we have Emily Johnson, the new girl in the boarding house, and on the other, Mrs. Allen, the sweet, kind-looking older woman who lives downstairs. It seems pretty clear-cut, right? Emily's the victim, and Mrs. Allen is the only one who's home all day, so she must be the villain. But notice those question marks. Jackson wants you to question those labels from the very beginning.
And what are these priceless treasures being fought over? Handkerchiefs, a cheap pin, one little china dog. Come on, this is obviously not about the money. The value of this stuff is practically zero. And that tells you right away the motive isn't greed. It's something way, way creepier.
This line right here, this is so important. Emily herself knows her losses are trivial, and that's exactly what makes it such a perfect psychological weapon. I mean, think about it. How do you go to your landlady and complain that someone stole a handkerchief? You'd sound crazy, you'd sound petty. The crime is specifically designed to be so small that it's deniable. It's all about violating her personal space, not her bank account.
And this whole feeling of being exposed, it's literally built into the walls of the place. Emily even notices that Mrs. Allen's room looks almost exactly like hers. Same cheap furniture, same bedspread. It's this powerful, subtle way of saying that in this house, nobody's space is really their own. Everyone is vulnerable. Every room is basically interchangeable.
So when Emily finally decides she has to do something, she can't just go downstairs and start pointing fingers. They're social rules. And this leads to their first real confrontation, which isn't an argument at all. It's a duel fought entirely with polite, carefully chosen words. Just listen to how she says this. She's making an accusation, but it's wrapped up in an apology. She starts with, "It's so slight." She's already downplaying the thing that's driving her crazy. She uses this proper, ladylike voice because she can't bring herself to just come out and say it. She's basically fighting with one hand tied behind her back by social etiquette. And boom, this is Mrs. Allen's response. On the surface, it sounds kind of helpful, right? Like, oh, it's just an old building, dear. But what she's really saying is so much more chilling. She's saying, oh, I know, your room isn't safe. Anyone can get in, anytime, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's an absolute masterclass in wielding power without raising your voice. Yeah, so that polite approach, it totally fails. The thefts keep happening. And this is the turning point, where Emily makes a choice. She realizes that if she can't win by playing by the rules, well, she's going to have to break them. The victim is about to become a trespasser.
You can almost map out how this whole thing goes down, step by step. It starts with that nagging suspicion. Then the polite confrontation that goes nowhere, and when that fails, she retaliates. And right there, at step 3, she crosses a line. She decides to fight fire with fire, to use her enemy's own tactics against her. And listen to the story she tells herself as she's doing it. As she uses her own key to unlock Mrs. Allen's door, she's already creating an excuse, a way to pretend she's still innocent. It just shows you how much this whole ordeal has already twisted her up inside. So Emily's in, she's crossed the line, and there they are, all her stolen items, just sitting there, laid out almost like a little display. And in that moment, when she finally gets the proof she's been looking for, the whole silent battle reaches its breaking point.
She's standing there, holding her stolen handkerchiefs, finally vindicated, and then she hears a sound.
Game over. This is total defeat. Mrs. Allen doesn't yell, she doesn't accuse her, she doesn't do anything. She just stands there, watching. And that silence is 1,000 times more powerful than any accusation. In that one instant, the power dynamic flips completely. Emily, the victim, is now the one caught red-handed. She's the guilty one.
And this is where Shirley Jackson is just a genius. To really seal Emily's defeat, she uses this tiny, brilliant detail that she planted earlier in the story, a simple bottle of aspirin.
Remember this? Early on, Mrs. Allen gives Emily this super sweet, grandmotherly piece of advice. In this context, the aspirin is a symbol of care, of kindness, of making things better. It's part of her whole perfectly nice old lady act.
And now, look at how that same object gets twisted. When she's caught, this is the desperate lie Emily blurts out. All of a sudden, the aspirin is no longer a symbol of care. It's a symbol of her deception, her weakness, her complete and total surrender.
And this is where the story lands. There's no big confession, no justice is served. The trial is over, and Mrs. Allen has won. Not by proving she was innocent, but by expertly trapping Emily in her own lie.
And Mrs. Allen, of course, plays her part to perfection. She graciously accepts Emily's flimsy excuse about the headache. She even offers to get her the aspirin. Now Emily is completely trapped. She has to accept this kindness from the very person who has been tormenting her, which just seals her defeat.
And then she drops the final, absolutely chilling line. This is not a kind offer. This is a declaration of victory. This is a promise of future surveillance. This is Mrs. Allen saying, I can come into your room whenever I want, and now you've even given me the perfect excuse. The combat is over, but the torment is clearly just getting started.
You know, in her fight for some kind of justice, Emily became a trespasser, just like her tormentor. And it just leaves you wondering, who really wins in a fight like this? And what does it cost you when the only way to fight back is to become the very thing you hate?